Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's up?
Have you been thinking about buying a house but are unsure of where to start?
You know, I have been, but it's kind of a complex process.
First-time home buying basics will take a possible complex and confusing process and make it a breeze. Arizona residential real estate broker Josh Madison will guide you through the step-by-step process, as he has with over hundreds of other clients in the last 20 years. Josh wrote this book in a short, simple, easy-to-read format of less than 100 pages. 2021 is a whole new real estate market. So before you hand over any of your valuable information, call in realtors or even mortgage brokers, check out First-Time Home Buying Basics and cover your assets. Available now in paperback or ebook form. Buy now by clicking on the TechTime Radio link /sponsors and look for First-Time Home Buying Basics on your Amazon Market. You can also purchase this through the website at madisonmarkets.com. That's madisonmarkets.com. Get your first-time home buying experience basics today. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, have you heard of the Highbrow Drivel?
No, but it sounds smarty pants to me.
Highbrow Drivel delivers hilarious takes from serious experts. Every week, comedian Anthony Janot introduces one of his comedian friends to an academic, scientist, politician, or expert of some kind.
Oh, yeah? And what do they do?
Over the course of roughly an hour, the group will offer thought-provoking topics, expert guests, and hilarious commentation.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Host Anthony Janot is critically acclaimed stand-up comedian who has sold out shows in Australia, England, Scotland, Sweden, and more. But we're talking specifically about his podcast now called The Highbrow Drivel. Topics range from ethics and artificial intelligence to astronomy and dinosaurs.
Really? Oh, I love dinosaurs. Do they talk about owls?
Every week, it's a new comedian, a new expert, but the same Highbrow Drivel. Highbrow Drivel is available on all major podcast players and at www.highbrowdrivel.com. Again, that's www.highbrowdrivel.com.
Yeah, that sounds like smart nonsense. Can't wait to listen.
Hey, Mike, as a business owner, why do we form an LLC or a corporation?
Well, that's pretty simple. We want to protect ourselves personally from the liability of the company.
That's right, Mike. The very next thing we should be doing as business owners is protecting ourselves personally from the finances of the company.
Right. Yeah, that's why you want to get help, and you can get help from The Business Doctor, which was founded by Dr. Glenn Smith, PhD in Business Management, Accounting, and Finance. Schedule your free business evaluation and consultation at thebusinessdoctor.us.
Enroll in the Rapid Business Credit Builder program and get up to 100K business credit under the company's EIN and the DUNS number in less than 6 months. The DUNS number is really important for your rating on when you purchase other items from other businesses, never having to use personal credit ever again. That's thebusinessdoctor.us or call 866-383-1030. Again, that's 866-383-1030 or thebusinessdoctor.us.
Visit The Business Doctor today.
Coming to you from the shores of the Pacific Northwest. Keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side. With leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. I am your host. We got Mike Orday here and David Brown in the studio. This is hour 2 of our show.
Yeah.
Are you excited about that?
I'm relaxed.
You're relaxed. That whiskey got you.
Where'd the whiskey go?
Well, the whiskey, so I replaced it with a marketing item. You can buy just what you ever wanted. When you are out in the woods and you need water to drink, nothing like having a 6-inch TechTime Radio logo on your bottle of your water.
I'm thinking that if you watch TechTime Radio, you're probably not going to be in the woods.
You're probably not going to be in the woods. That's that's probably right.
You need to have this by your gaming console.
Oh, by your game. I should have said that. By the gaming console. There we go.
You're not thinking.
So we're doing pirate.
You're not thinking.
We're doing pirate extravaganzas on our Sea of Thieves. I should have that right next to me. So
that's right. That's your, and it shouldn't be full of the whiskey that you were pre-tasting earlier.
The Dark Northern Reserve Rye, which got 2 thumbs up.
Which is really good.
It's really good. 91 proof.
And it's really really potent.
That's right. So this should be a great hour here.
That's
All
right.
right. Well, hopefully you're catching our show from 4 to 6 p.m. on Saturday live. We're excited to see you here. If you're catching it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not 4 to 6, or Sunday, you're catching a rebroadcast.
Captain Obvious. Is
All right, so
building.
there you go. You know what? I enjoy saying that. That's becoming a little bit of my tagline, like a little whiskey on the side and a couple other things that we do. So we
people
are
on the street go, hey, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That's right. All right. So hopefully we are a technology show, 2 hours that talks about technology for the everyday common person, talking about technology stories that are breaking the news and some subjects ahead of the mainstream media. So on hour 2, we are packed. We got our letter segment, and our letter segment is going to be a little bit different. We're going to take turns reading email spams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting so many. And we have our first edition of a physically mailed letter scam to me.
That's awesome.
Specifically on technology on domain sites.
snail mail.
So
A
that's
snail mail letter.
Yeah, so it's perfect. And then we have Nick Espinoza up from Security Fanatics. He's going to be talking to us about a security breach that is shaking up the managed service providers of IT services to small companies. This is very scary, and the IT security world is all up in arms. This could actually be more scarier than the SolarWinds breach that we talked about on the impact of what this did. And I actually have a letter that I'm going to read from a provider that essentially sent it out to everybody that used their services that said, guess what, best of luck to you.
They were knocked out for 5 days, right?
Yeah, best of luck to you. We're not going to be able to provide you any support at all. All right. Then, after that, we have a Nathan Nugget. We're going to be talking about Microsoft and then the Nathan Nugget. Yeah, I'm a former employee of the company. So
I see that liquor was
did
well for you, too.
I got to make sure I pronunciate very well on this
Pronunciate.
show.
That's right. You need to pronunciate really well.
Very well.
Worked for you, didn't it?
That's right. On the second hour with a little bit of whiskey. All right. So during this hour, we hope that you guys will have an opportunity to go enjoy our technology show that we have. Share it with friends. Ideally, if we could get you to go to Apple iTunes and rate us. We need to get rated. We need to have a bunch of ratings. I can't keep on logging in as myself and rating it.
We just bagged all over.
So iTunes, I know.
We just bagged all
Apple's
over
gonna be all like, what are you doing?
15. Why? What?
Well, I didn't bag on Apple iOS 15. I just said having the URL on Safari down at the very bottom is the worst place to have it. So
a little too late.
Okay, all right. All right, we have 2 hours. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm. Again, if you would like to give us a call, you can absolutely do that at 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-KKNW-5569. We'll put you on the show. Let's start out, though, with reading our Love Shack question. Again, Love Shack is on KKNW Thursdays from 1 to 2 p.m. And
yes.
You were a guest on their last show.
Yes.
How'd that go? What did you guys talk about?
Perfect. We talked about lying. And, not. It was supposed to be related to relationships, but we talked about lying in general a lot of times.
He was nicknamed the lie detector by the host, by the way.
Oh, the lie detector host. Okay.
Yeah, like you call me the lie to me guy.
Yeah, the lie to me guy.
They were calling me the lie detector.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of funny.
You like that? Because everybody assumes, well, and you kind of do. You kind of like judge people when they're talking and see if they're honest.
I suppose it works, but when we think about those types of people, they're looking for people who can detect lies within a small amount of time. I don't do that.
Okay. All right, well, here's our conversational question.
All right,
David's on the mic.
Yeah, okay.
What was your favorite hobby when you were a kid? Oh, I like this one.
That's a good one.
I got one. Okay, what was your favorite hobby?
When I was a kid,
yeah,
I really wanted to be a special effects guy.
Okay.
And so I got a lot of books about special effects back in the 70s.
Okay.
And so I would sit around and create models out of stuff like paper plates and light bulbs and things like that because I wanted to be a special effects guy. So I was learning how to do all that kind of stuff.
All right.
By building models
and
out of everyday common household items.
And that was a passion of yours?
It was for a while. I mean, I have a lot of interest, so it didn't last long, obviously, because I'm not in special effects now. I'm a human behavior expert, so that shows.
Maybe that's special effects in some ways, right?
It's like, yeah, some people think I'm psychic sometimes.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they think I can read minds.
I just call you my partner in crime for my pirating on Sea of Thieves. So that's what we got. All right, David, we're gonna go to you next.
Oh, I just a little more simpler than that. I just basically collected baseball and even football cards too when I was younger.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say, David. Oh no.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, so did you? Because we're about the same age, right? So
Yeah, I think we're like a year apart.
yeah. So did you collect a
Yeah,
lot
I'm
of
old
Ken
guy.
Griffey Jr. and a bunch of stuff? Who was your best guy that you collected?
Oh, without going back, I don't know, but I remember collecting a lot of the Mariners back in the day.
Back in the day. Do you still have the cards now?
Yeah, they're somewhere at home. I came across them not too terribly long ago.
So I've gone through a process in the last like
I know
3
you're
months.
always cataloging.
So I'm cataloging them and sending them out to PSA to get them rated soon, so I can get my cards taken care of.
Okay.
So I guess my hobby is going to be, when I was a little kid, I used to collect ants.
Just ants.
Ants. So what I
You
do
weren't
is,
the bug guy. You were collecting bug. You were
well,
just collecting
here's what I
ants?
did. I would go on out with Scotch tape from my dad, and I would see live ants that would be on the ground. And then I would collect the ants, and I would fold the Scotch tape over them so that I could see them.
Uh-huh.
And then if I ran out of Scotch tape, then I'd have to use masking tape. And then I would collect them, and I would put them in jars in a little tackle box that I had. And then I had a whole collection of ants.
Did you have just a bunch of the same ants?
I don't ever remember, but I remember I thought I was so cool, and I took them to
that's not
school,
cool, dude.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that.
I took them to school one day. I remember Liberty Elementary. I took them to school.
And
kids
how
are-
long did you stay at school that day?
so they were all trading. It was at that time. It was Laffy Taffies. Like that was the thing. So you'd have
Yeah.
Laffy Taffies, and so you'd have a Laffy Taffy, or maybe you get like a garbage pail kid. And I showed up one day with ants, and I said, "Let's start trading ants." And people looked at me like, "Dude, these are dead."
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, "Well, no, they're not. They're kind of just live. They're just
No, they're
not
dead.
moving."
You suffocated them in freaking Scotch tape.
All right,
dude.
that was my hobby. All right, well,
I remember I collected bugs for a while when
Did
you would throw them in a jar with alcohol and it would kill them, and then you pin them to a board. I know that's horribly inhumane nowadays, but that's what we did back then.
Okay, that's what the Arizona kids did.
Well, science-oriented people do that still.
Well, okay. Well, the ants was kind of all right. Well, let's continue on our episodes.
How did you just go and just stick them?
Yeah, so they'd be walking around.
Did you just hang around an anthill for
Yeah.
like a couple hours until you ran out of Scotch tape?
Yeah, that's exactly what I
Like,
did.
oh, these are the Pacific Northwest black ant here.
They were all
I
the
only
same
have
ants.
like 500 of them.
That makes it sound kind of funny, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. Okay, all right. Let's get this episode
You need to
started.
come to Arizona and get the rare velvet ant.
Okay, we're gonna start with our first segment right now. Is one of our favorites.
Yeah, that's right.
Letters, we get letters. We get back and backs of letters. Ah, letters, we get letters. And the letters all have songs.
Oh,
All right, so
such an awesome
so this is
thing.
what we're gonna do in letters. We're gonna change it up just a little bit. I'm gonna read a subject. You're gonna read a subject. I'm gonna read a subject, and we can kind of talk back and forth.
Okay.
With them. I'm gonna start out first. From I got an email here sent to Nathan Mumm from Home Depot, but the email address is 382support@proofserve.com. So I don't think that's necessarily Home Depot. But you know what? Congratulations. Only 48 remain. And if I take a look at the picture here, I can win myself a loyalty program for free. And this is what I get from Home Depot. Take a look at this picture. It's essentially,
Hey,
it's nothing to do with Home Depot. It's
you get
man enhancement.
testosterone, you get
So I get a watch and some man enhancement areas from Home Depot.
need
I
some
appreciate
What section's that in?
yeah, that's in the the male improvement section. I
the
guess.
Home Depot.
I will
That's
have to check
home-
that out.
back to the far right. Take a
Oh,
corner.
wow, David.
All right. Okay. You're up next with the next letter.
Okay. This one is from Coinbase, and it's capital COINBA capital SE
Okay.
from secmailid.excellentnotification148. Excellent is spelled wrong.
Okay.
At VEWRBRE.com.
Oh, so it really sounds legitimate from Coinbase.
It totally doesn't.
Okay,
at
all right.
And then it says Coinbase in the letterhead, and it's spelled with a C0IN. Hi, customer. Your Coinbase has need recover.
Has need recover.
Yes. Yes. And that
Has need recover.
all your base are belong to us. You remember that one?
Yes.
Okay. It looks like someone else may have access to your account, so we've temporarily locked it to keep your personal information in sync.
Okay.
To unlock your account, you may need to pass a security check. Note that attempting to access someone else is a violation of Coinbase terms. It may also be illegal.
See, and you're just reading it directly from the... This is how these are, right,
yeah,
people?
That's right. This is the first time I've read it. So, to unlock your account, unlock your account access, please enter the link below. It's got a sign-in button. As always, if you have any question about these updates, please feel free to contact our legal team, capital L, capital T, directly, and we'll be happy to help.
All right.
So Coinbase is going to help you out.
With my account that's locked.
Your Coinbase has need recovery.
All right. So the next one. So this is a unique one, and I'm showing it here on the camera, and if you can't see it, this is actually, you can see that I retaped this. This was an actual letter sent to me in the mail.
That's awesome.
So and I ripped it up and threw it away. And then I said, you know what? For our letter segment, I'm actually going to read it. So this is a domain registry deal. I actually own this domain that it's talking about. But essentially, they sent me an item to have my domain renewed for $190. Now, I can do it through GoDaddy, where the domain is actually hosted at, and get it renewed for $21 or $19.
How much was that one?
So $190.
Oh, wow.
$190. So I guess they're going to give me premier service.
I suppose
now,
so.
if you actually take a look and get down to chapter 3 of this huge document, you see that this is not a bill. It's rather an easy means of payment should you decide to switch your domain registry to our domain registry.
Oh.
So what we're going to do is, if I actually pay them the $190, they're going to go and then be a liaison to go to GoDaddy, which I'm still going to have to type in passcodes and allow them to transfer it over. But I would have automatically paid them $190 to do what I can do for
free
or for $20 to renew it for a year. So anybody that has a domain site that gets anything in the mail from a domain registry, understand that you should always log into your own local domain registry to renew your domain and not fall for a printed, which I ripped up because I said, what a scam.
And don't let your domain expire.
Well, if it expires, worst comes to worst, I'm still not going to pay $190 for it. I mean, I have to pay an additional $10.
I had a domain that expired and somebody else bought it and they wanted to sell it to me.
Oh, they sell it to you back, right?
Yeah.
So I've done that too, where I've let domains go by.
You can keep it.
F you. That's right. Since you bought it, it's now yours.
Yeah.
I didn't renew it for a reason. All right, you're up next with the letter.
All right, so this one's funny.
Yep.
From Bank of America.
Okay. And I don't even bank with Bank of America.
No, but wait. This is going to get better.
Okay.
So the address is capital G, capital L, little W, capital N, capital V, capital K, little q at trustalliancetech.com.
Oh, Trust Alliance is now Bank of America.
But the logo here is Banks for America.
Oh, Banks for America. So it's not quite the same as Bank of America.
It's not Bank of America. It's Banks for America.
It does actually have that. I didn't even realize that when I put it. And what do I get if I sign up with them?
You get a promotional $90 reward if you take part in our marketing survey. Tell us about your banking experience, and we will offer you an exclusive offer worth $90 or more. Get started now.
From Bank of America with the logo.
Banks for America.
And take that $90 to Home Depot, right?
That's right. To buy men's products.
Right. And we have an expert that has told us where to find that.
Where's that?
It's in the wood section.
It's in the wood section. Oh, somebody on Twitch.
That's right.
There you go. All right. Okay. Well, this is the end of our letter segments. We can go on. We have another
Sorry about my email. I hate my email.
That's right. So we have more that we could go on with, and we could do just a whole segment of these because these are hilarious. But the big part of a reminder to everybody listening is do not click on any links. Do not fill anything out.
Don't share your information.
Don't share your information on any of these emails. Go to the site that you have that information available at. Log in at a trusted site that you know of. Don't go to a PayPal link. Go to paypal.com if you need to go there, and make sure you're actually at the site. Don't trust your email. No one is sending you information that your accounts are expired. They're going to do everything they can to inform you correctly on how to do this. But up next, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest breaches ever in the MSP world, the managed service provider world, so a world that I was a part of for about 5 years. 7 years ago. So I actually worked at a managed service provider for a bit. And we have our expert from Security Fanatic, Nick Espinoza, that will be on the show. So let's take a commercial break and we'll come right back with him.
Upper Left Corner is a PNW true crime podcast now streaming on all major podcast platforms. If you get excited when your favorite true crime podcast tells a story about a place that you've been to or the town that you live in, then Upper Left Corner podcast is for you. Each week, I tell you a story of a crime that has taken place in the PNW and give you background about the town the crime occurred in. If you like true crime, check out Upper Left Corner podcast, now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and more.
Ace Hardware is a helpful place with prompt, friendly service, knowledge, and the little things that make a big difference.
Service.
Selection.
Advice.
Community involvement.
Competitive prices.
Convenience.
Located near you.
And the things you need, such as
house keys,
lawn and garden,
plumbing,
electrical,
hardware,
grills,
outdoor living supplies,
and even nuts and bolts.
When you visit Ace Hardware, you'll be greeted at the door and given the help you need.
So come visit us at Ace Hardware in Evergreen Way in Everett, Lake Stevens, and now Stanley.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Welcome back to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. I'm your host. If you want to join us on the show, you can always jump on the phone at 425-373-5527.
Do you think Ace has a section there too?
With a spam email? No, not from our spam sponsor. No, our Lake Stevens and Everett and everybody.
Ace is the place for a helpful hardware
person. It's now person. It used to be man, and now it's person. So absolutely. So we're going to talk about security breach. We're going to bring Nick Espinoza up again. Nick is the CEO and owner of Security Fanatics. He also serves as a TED speaker and serves on many boards, including the Forbes Technology Council. But here I'm going to start out the segment as you bring him up. I'm going to read an email that I received from a MSP provider. I'm not going to say their name though, because that would be bad. Sorry. So I'm not. So blank is closely watching the progress and the incident that reported by Kaseya. As of this time, we are unable to provide remote monitoring and any services for your IT company. It has been confirmed that there are several signature and ransomware items that Kaseya has identified as being a part of a campaign. Out of abundance of caution for our partners, we have taken the preventative measure to block all traffic from the Kaseya VSA cloud and essentially shut down all remote services and IT services for your company. We appreciate your understanding and understand that this could cause problems with your current network or IT services. We do not currently have a time of when this will be resolved, but we'll keep you notified as times change.
Wow, this is an
MSP provider.
This is where they remote into your computer to remotely do stuff.
So this is a company. Yeah. So this is a company that's in charge of at least 50 small businesses that essentially said, guess what? Hopefully your internet's working. Hopefully you have no issues, but we are essentially offline, and they were offline for 5 days. They have not come back up, and we are not able to provide you any IT services remotely. Hopefully things work for you and you don't have to use us during this time and you're kind of on your own, and best of luck.
That sucks, man.
That, if you're an IT provider, that is not something you want to send out, and absolutely something that shouldn't be taken care of. So let's now bring on our security expert, Nick Espinoza. Nick, thank you for joining the show.
This is a segment we call Ask the Experts.
All right, so the first question we have for Nick is, what whiskey is he drinking today?
Why don't we say hi, Nick?
Well, hi, Nick. Well, I just need to know the whiskey. How you doing, Nick?
What whiskey are you drinking?
That's right. I need to know because Nick has good whiskey.
Yeah, well, and I think this week is no different at all in the sense that this was actually sent to me by my friend Kevin in San Francisco. It's called Legend. And what it is it's actually a blend of Kentucky whiskey and Japanese whiskey as well.
Oh.
Kevin is a Japanese whiskey expert, and he sent this to me as a thank you for a project I've been working on with him in cybersecurity, and it is fantastic. I don't know where he finds these things, but I also know he has stuff imported from Japan as well.
Write that down.
So it's,
I know. David, you got a pen? You got a pen or pencil?
Write it down.
Hey, we're writing this down right now. Okay, here we go.
It is awesome.
All right, so here's Legend. My pen. Here we go. Here, what is the name? It's called Legend. out of
Legend. Here, can you see that?
ENT. Okay, I got
it.
there. Yep,
Yeah.
I do see that.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
It is
okay.
So awesome. Totally recommend it.
All right. Well,
we'll have to have that on.
We'll have to add it. So we just had a real good a dark northern reserve.
Send it to me. I won't pre-taste it.
What's that? You won't pre-taste it? I'm gonna. You know what, Nick? I'm gonna send you a bottle that we had today. It's a Pacific Northwest deal, and it is fantastic.
It's very good.
Nice. I'll send that to you. Thank you for being a part of the show. So here's what we got. On July 2nd at 2 p.m., Kaseya announced a potential attack against its IT services to a small number of on-premise customers. As Kaseya's incident response team investigated, the vendor had decided to proactively shut down its software as a service servers and pull its data center offline. I already read you the letter, so explain to me how problematic was this attack?
This is insanely problematic. I mean, this, to be perfectly honest, as you mentioned, IT support companies or managed service providers, also known as MSPs, this is a bomb dropping in their world. Kaseya was very widely used. It's not the only player, so I know there's a lot of MSPs that are, I'm glad I'm not on them. But for those companies that were using Kaseya, it's a huge, huge problem. And Kaseya is heavily used in small to mid-sized businesses. Basically, the larger organizations use things like SolarWinds Orion and other products as well. And the problem with that is that many MSPs tend to use mid-range defensive products, meaning the small businesses and mid-sized businesses don't have the threat detection capabilities as the larger corporations do. And so by virtue of that, when you've got a centralized access like Kaseya has, you're essentially installing it onto every computer and server so that you can manage it, as that letter just said. You're using it to update things, install things, remove things, troubleshoot things, all that kind of stuff. It is also given administrative access or God mode into the system, which means it has very intimate access, and there are not many things that are going to be able to slow that down, which means if you're getting ransomware through that thing, it is a massive, massive problem. But this was a bomb dropping. We're looking at hundreds of potential MSPs, thousands of clients. Last I heard, it was climbing to around 2,000 disclosed, and that's just disclosed, not on top of everything else. So it's a huge, huge problem that we've got right now.
And so I really think there's a lot more people that we're not hearing about. So I'll just say that as a security.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah,
I know that for a fact. I was contacted by a company that is not disclosed in any way, shape, or form, freaking out about this, and they're actually on the larger side needing help for remediation from this, because they use Kaseya obviously to manage their network, and they're like, we're going to excise this, and they're still formulating that game plan to disclose. This is going to be basically, for months we are going to find these companies that have to disclose that they got hit with this.
So this happened on July 2nd. It's July 10th today, and still the numbers are coming on out. So this is something, again, that's going to be really hidden in the back end, and you're going to have a small company of 5 or 6 people that you may not ever hear about or report about it because they're so small, and they shut down the IT services, and you know what? Maybe they can continue to run and they get it taken care of at a later time. But this is impacting a lot more in the small business world than you would imagine.
And understand too, statistically, small to mid-sized businesses, a lot of times ransomware is a life-ending event for the company. Meaning you're locked out, you haven't had good backup disaster recovery plans or contingency plans like larger corporations, and you can't really afford to pay the ransom. Revil, the group behind this, is going after Kaseya for $70 million, to basically unscrew like every company on the planet. They got hit with this. One of the largest supermarket chains, for example, I think it was in Norway or Sweden, they have like 700 locations, completely had to shut their doors. They couldn't allow people in because their entire point of sale system was hit and completely locked out from this. So it's a global issue, although Kaseya tends to be more in North America and the United States than anywhere else.
All right, so my next question: how was this virus pushed out? Right. So how did this actually happen in itself?
So it's actually really interesting, and it really parallels some of the other attacks that we've seen before. But the delivery of ransomware was via an automated fake software update using Kaseya VSA, or Virtual System Administrator. Now, the attackers temporarily stop administrator access to the VSA. Then they add a task called, and this was literally what it's called, Kaseya VSA Agent Hotfix. And so it looks legitimate to any IT person. Oh, it's a hotfix that Kaseya is pushing through or something along those lines. This fake update was then deployed across the MSP's VSAs and then pushed out to all of their customers, those MSPs that were affected. And we also know that the larger MSPs out there were the ones that they went after first. So those that are attached to larger corporations that are servicing, like a major distributor of electronics and computers and equipment has an MSP wing. They got hit because they've got a large customer base. So it's a huge problem. Now, this update masquerades as a fake management agent update. So just like SolarWinds, that entire situation at a glance, as I mentioned, it looks legit. And then this management update ends up actually being the Revil ransomware. And so that's a huge problem. But to be clear, though, this means that organizations are not actually Kaseya's customers that are mostly getting hit. Overwhelmingly, the customers that are getting hit are the customers of the MSPs, and the MSP is the customer of Kaseya. And so this is like the quintessential supply chain hack, but it's on a massive scale. And it's spectacular in its size, to be perfectly honest. It's just damning to multiple MSPs out there. Like I said, this is going to be life-ending events. We're going to hear stories about that. I would put money on it.
So is this more like an attempt to grab a smash and grab for smaller companies with all this collateral damage not being part of the idea, you may?
No, I wouldn't call it a smash and grab. And the reason being is that Revil is known for taking their time, picking the right targets, and then hitting in mass. You will note that they are not going to all of these small, like thousands of small businesses saying, you owe me 10,000, you owe me 20,000. They went to Kaseya and basically said, we just screwed your entire customer base to unscrew 70 million. That is a spectacular, number. That's a huge ransom, to pay. And so by virtue of that, if you look at other Revil targets, they're typically going after the massive corporations where they have essentially done their reconnaissance. They figured out a way in, they get in, they go dormant. They set up everything that they want. They copy out the data that they want to copy out, and then they hit you basically in a very coordinated effort. So there is no smash and grab with Revil, but it seems like that because what we're seeing is just all of these small to mid-sized businesses popping up saying, yeah, me too, me too, me too. It's a huge problem.
So essentially by targeting Kaseya, and there's like 3 or 4 other remote management tools. Continuum has a product that people use for this mid-level type of deal. They have not been breached yet, and I've worked with Continuum. I would expect them probably to be breached sooner than later also. But this MSP provider essentially goes to this company and says, we want to be able to remote manage our customers. Right. We want to push out updates. We want to make sure that their environment is running correctly. We trust you, Kaseya, because you're a big company. You say you have security in place. As a small business managed service provider, which normally are $1 to $5 million companies, so they're not that big of a large company. They'll reach like another 50 customers, right? So you go to Kaseya, and then this MSP gets breached. Well, now all of a sudden, this MSP is breached, and their 50, 60 customers are then affected by that. And any customers that those people would have had, like dentist offices or any of these smaller businesses, now they're affected at the same time too, and sometimes shut down, and they can't do anything. So that dentist down the street may have a "I'm closed right now" sign because his IT imaging software
this seems like a more malicious
absolutely
normal one.
Well, so also, all cyber attacks are malicious, in that sense. But I think it's important to understand that MSPs or RMMs, remote managed, monitoring, like what Kaseya is essentially doing. These kinds of platforms are targets 24/7, 365, for attackers like Revil. And the reason being is that if you can break into that MSP, which probably has, as I mentioned before, low to moderate security, a lot of them do not invest in enterprise threat detection technologies for themselves, let alone pass that along to their clients. It's a huge problem because as you are basically, let's say, managing those 50 customers, those 100, 200, 300 customers, you're basically storing all of their usernames and passwords, administrative access, all of these things. And so as we centralize to basically make it very, very easy to manage, that also opens up risk in the sense that if we hit the centralization, we can hit everything in one shot that is being managed underneath that umbrella. And that's essentially what we're seeing here. SolarWinds previously was a spectacular, example of that as well. So So it's a huge, huge problem that we have overall as we are looking at this. But understand that, if you're running an MSP, if you're running pretty much any business, you're going to be targeted. But if you're running a Kaseya, or as Nathan mentioned, there's Continuum and there's Automate, and there's a whole bunch of these out there that cater to these small MSPs. These are all being targeted right now. I mean, there's no doubt about that whatsoever, which means they really have to be upping their game. And you would hope that Continuum would see what Kaseya is going through and be like, yeah, we don't want to be them. It's time to audit. It's time to upgrade. It's time to review our security practices, which you hope they're doing on a regular basis anyway. But oftentimes, as I've said before, what we are doing is taking these people on at their word. We are trusting that their assurances are actually, that they can put their money where their mouth is. And I think that's one of those things that needs to change. And it's looking like that may be coming down the pipe here from the government. So we'll see where that goes.
All right. So real quick, before we go to a commercial break, tell us a little bit about the hacker group, REvil.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be clear, real quick, we don't know if they are state sponsored or not.
Correct.
I think that's an important distinction, because a lot of people say, oh, they're state sponsored by Russia and all of that. And if they were state sponsored, the logical choice would be Russia. But it's difficult to pinpoint their exact location. But all given intelligence and indicators of compromise, basically, we believe the cybersecurity community believes that they are actually based in Russia. Russia tends to give safe harbor to these groups. But REvil has never hit or targeted a Russian organization or organizations in the former Soviet bloc countries. And so by virtue of that, there's this understanding of, okay, given their tactics, given their indicators of compromise, we believe they're based in Russia because they're not attacking any of these countries that would be giving them that safe harbor. So with that, REvil's been a major player in what we call double extortion ransomware. And I swear to God, like, not a week goes by where I am not mentioning them on my Breaches of the Week video and podcast, like every Sunday. Like, they are always in the news, hitting something. So REvil is rather ambitious. They actually run what's known as a ransomware as a service enterprise that first came to prominence basically in April of 2019 after Grand Crab, which is another ransomware gang, basically just kicked the bucket. Now, the REvil group is also known as Sodin or Sodinobiki. So if you see that, we're actually talking about REvil as well. It depends on who is tagging them. They actually gained their reputation for attempting to extort larger payments from their corporate victims that basically hadn't been seen in other typical attacks. Everybody was going after grandma for like $300, $500. These guys came in and started really scoping out organizations and saying, no, we want 5 million. And that really changed the game, from ransomware starting a couple of years ago or so. So essentially what they do is they steal the information from you and then lock it out. And then basically they threaten to release that data, essentially auctioning it off on what they call their leak site. It's actually called Happy Blog, if you can believe that. It's called Happy Blog. We track it daily, and so basically, if you have good backups and you can restore, they say, well, we still have your data, and that will ruin your reputation, so you still better pay us. And when we're negotiating with these people, it's rather interesting to see, because they will throw the insurance policies right back up. Like, we know you can pay this. Here's your insurance policy. We stole a copy of.
Yep.
So it's absolutely crazy. And obviously, as they evolved and online crime became more sophisticated, they recognized that they could essentially lease out their expertise and infrastructure to other criminals. And so oftentimes when you're dealing with the REvil ransomware, they're running it as a service for other criminal organizations that don't have the same technical chops as they do. And they're making a ton of money. They claim to make about $100 million US a year just hitting companies. It's absolutely crazy. It's just nuts.
All right, so we're going to need to take a commercial break. When we come on back, here's the question to think about. This was deployed as a 0-day vulnerability in this attack. So I want you to think about and help us, as we come back from the commercial break, explain what is different between an attack and a 0-day vulnerability attack. So we're going to go to a commercial break. Nick, we'll see you right after the break here to answer that question.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
Hi, this is Lisa Downs, host of Reigniting You, a new show here on KKNW that explores a variety of topics and timely issues for making mid to late career transitions. I'll be here every Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock bringing you guest interviews, career transition advice, and great stories to guide you to what's next in your career and life. Gain a renewed sense of purpose for your next phase with a positive, forward-looking approach. Get ready to be re-energized, recharged, and reignited Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. All
right, welcome back to TechTime Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm. We got Micro Day here and David Brown behind the board. And so Nick Espinoza is our guest, and he's explaining to us what has happened. Now, when we went to break, we asked him to explain what the difference is between some cyber attacks and a zero-day vulnerability attack. So as we come right back here, Nick, explain what a zero-day vulnerability attack is.
Sure. So I think it's really important to understand essentially what zero day means in the cybersecurity industry. 0 day comes from the response time it takes to inoculate a system against a brand new infection, threat, or vulnerability. So basically, think about it this way. The antivirus and firewall makers in your life have less than 24 hours or 0 days to identify the threat, create an inoculation for it, and then get that to your network, get it to your antivirus or your firewall or whatever that is. Now, the enterprise technology companies, like the enterprise firewalls, et cetera, can usually turn that around in minutes, meaning like we have an outbreak in Mongolia, we're defended here in the United States, usually in a couple of minutes. Mid-range products tend to take hours, and sometimes it can take a day or more to actually do that, but their averages for inoculation tend to be less than 24 hours or 0 day. And so when we're talking about a 0 day infection, or a vulnerability, essentially what it means is that, and we can use Microsoft Windows as an example for this, when Eternal Blue came out, this is essentially a vulnerability that Microsoft and nobody on the planet really recognized was an issue until it was. And so by virtue of that, once it was discovered by researchers and Microsoft was alerted, or Microsoft discovered it themselves, they have to quickly figure out how the heck are we going to patch this? How are we going to update this system? And then they've got to alert the world to say, hey, we have a massive problem with Microsoft here. Let's go get that patch. Make sure you're patching against Eternal Blue. So you have to remember that even though an infection or a vulnerability, has to be discovered before it can actually be patched, which is when it's discovered, then the clock is ticking. And oftentimes these vulnerabilities can be sitting in systems for days, weeks, or in the case of Intel, even years, until there's some kind of fix for that. If you remember the Intel processor mess with Spectre and all that kind of stuff. So this is a huge problem that we have industry-wide. And essentially what you're looking at are malicious criminals that are looking for those vulnerabilities. And once they find them, they don't want to tell anybody, because now they can use that to exploit the system. So they'll strategically hit it, and hopefully the firewall makers, the threat detection companies out there will see that exploit and then quickly turn around and write an inoculation for the rest of us. The last person you want to be is ground zero, the very first company that's hit with this, because you're going to take the brunt for everybody else as everybody starts inoculating behind you. So it's a huge, huge problem that we have, and that's essentially how a 0 day is.
So I worked for a MSP company about 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a customer. We used this WebRoot product, and it's okay. It sucked actually, but at the time I was like, oh, this is awesome. And we were an attack victim, and we were the first person that were attacked at this lawyer company. And essentially, when we worked with the antivirus company and the other company that was supposed to be providing this protection, essentially what they said is, oops, you're client number one, so guess what? We don't have anything to help you, but hopefully we'll take care of the rest of our clients, and you're pretty much just, you're just host.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
So
I think it's also, I'm sorry. I think it's also important to understand, too, that if your core defensive strategy is using antivirus for your computer, you're doing it wrong. The goal is to actually stop the threat before it gets to the machine. Your WebRoot or whatever you're running should never have to kick in, because you can stop it at the perimeter with that firewall or something before that.
So what's nice about this is I took over the company after this happened, and so we changed our processes and our endpoints to make sure we could not take care of that. But I actually had to be a part of the legal process for this, and essentially say, yeah, the knucklehead that was here before me had no clue what he was doing. And so, you got compromised. And I went to WebRoot and I said, okay, what are we going to do about this? And they're like, oh, thank you very much, because we protected another 30,000 people, and best of luck to you. And they had no backups. at this deal. The customer decided to do.
This is why I call this the drinking thing, because somebody who doesn't know how all this stuff works, this is really scary.
It was. So this guy lost everything. So he's a lawyer. He was a lawyer up north in Skagit County area, and we were providing IT service. Actually, I say we because I came on afterwards, but we were providing IT services for this company, and essentially he lost everything. And it was like, oops, and we didn't have backups because he chose not to do backups, and the company was like, okay, well, we'll let you choose if you want to do backups or not do backups, when we would have had a backup solution that was taken care of. And so this guy just lost everything, and we had to tell him, oops, sorry to be you.
That's really frightening.
Yeah, and so this MSP aspect of what happened here is huge. I mean, these MSPs are going to go out of business. These businesses are going to go out of business, and this is going to be just a trickle effect throughout the whole economy aspect of managed software for Kaseya. So it's going to be a pretty big deal. All right, let's talk about Kaseya was attacked with two different incidences. First, the attack against dozens of managed service providers using the Kaseya VSA 0-day. And then what happened is they used the VSA software to deploy the Revil ransomware throughout all the businesses, where customers of the managed service provider were allowed to have a "Do I want to protect" icon to click on, and they chose to do that, which caused problems. Explain this two-prong approach, and how would you go about taking care of that if you were a small business to make sure this didn't happen moving forward, Nick?
Right. Well, so part of the issue that we're going to have is that small businesses are not equipped to handle these kinds of things. Oftentimes, their threat detection is low to medium at best. Most of them are not running enterprise products or technology because their MSPs, basically aren't training up on those more advanced products. Even though they're just maybe slightly more expensive than the mid-range ones. So that's a huge issue right there. And the reason why that's an issue, and it's similar with SolarWinds, is that what ends up happening is basically in your antivirus, in your firewall, in your defensive systems, you start making exceptions for this. Meaning, as your managed service provider is installing this, they're telling the firewall and the antivirus, oh, leave it alone, it's Kaseya. Kaseya is legitimate, it's not a problem. And what ended up happening is, because these attackers were leveraging the actual Kaseya itself to download these infections, I guarantee you there's a lot of firewalls out there that said, oh, it's Kaseya, just let it through, don't check it. There's antivirus that said, oh, it's Kaseya, let it through, don't check it because it's signed as Kaseya. So this is a huge issue. So as we are looking at this, what we have to make sure is that even if we have legitimate products, we are still scanning those for threats, scanning those for changes, and ideally, upgrading those antiviruses, those endpoint detection response systems, those firewalls, that you have to something that's more aggressive, that can essentially decrypt and inspect things like SSL and TLS traffic, and get those 0-day updates a lot faster, as they're catching them more in the wild. So I think those are the things, right there. But also, it's working with that existing managed service provider to understand how they are now going to improve this, because if Kaseya simply patches this and it's all back to normal, well, that's a problem too, because nobody's improved or hardened their defenses. They're once again trusting and relying on Kaseya, which clearly broke that trust in this situation. And so these are things that are going to have to be tackled in the next couple of months. So
I'm a part of a advisory group for it's called Provisors, for the Seattle market area, and a lot of time people will ask me, well, what type of MSP should I use? There's about 15 different MSPs in the Seattle market, and this one sounds good, and this person's really nice, and this person's really nice. And I tell them, listen, there's only one company in all of Seattle, and that's where I actually have trust with, because they have a certain price point. They have dark trace backend monitoring. They have endpoint detection, and they actually make you have to pay for this service. And it's the only one in Seattle that I would recommend. And when everybody else tells me, well, I went with this guy or this guy or this guy, I just cringe. And I'm like, oh, best of luck. Yeah. I hope that it's going to work, because out of these MSPs, 60, 70 in the Seattle area that you take a look at, there's only one as a security and a technology guy that I would recommend. So that's the scary part, that there's very few that you would recommend.
This is a good vote for going back to the mail system, the old mail system.
The old mail system?
Yeah, I'm going to send information through the mail.
So let me ask you, Nick, how many MSPs in your area, you live in where again? Tell everybody.
Chicago.
How many MSPs in that area would you recommend if someone said I wanted to use an MSP?
So I will give you my typical advice, and this goes for any area on the planet where there's an MSP pitching you. They can tell you about their certifications or whatever they've got or how responsive they are The proof is in the technology that they offer you in terms of capability and defense. And if they're giving you or offering you, let's say, low to mid-range products, that shows that, one, there's a certain level of complacency there, meaning, oh, we've probably been using this for 5 to 10 years. We know to the penny our profit margin. We don't have to train our people because they've known it for 5 to 10 years. But that product has been passed over by other more advanced, more aggressive threat detection systems. And so they end up getting behind. If they are running enterprise technology, the dark traces of the world, if you will, I can throw out other names, that is a really good sign. In the sense that they are recognizing that they are investing time, energy, and training to get to that next level. It's also attractive to larger size businesses. So for example, I can walk into a small business with 5 people and sell them the same firewall that the DoD uses, and it will be in their price point. And the difference is that I have spent a lot of time, energy, and money training the bejesus out of that to make sure that we're at that level. Otherwise, I couldn't walk into a Fortune 100 company pitching it. I'd be shown the door. Right. If I had a mid-range or low product. So as you are looking at that, and there are not many here in Chicago either, in that vein, and this is a problem that we have. And the other issue we have in the cybersecurity community is that a lot of IT companies or MSPs basically put out that cybersecurity shingle and say, yes, we're doing cybersecurity, and they're not. They're really not. They're doing data security, and sometimes it's part of data security.
They suck. They say that they know security.
This is like the coaching industry.
This is horrible because they do it all the time, and I'll have people, I got this guy right here, and he told me it was good. I go, but your guy's an idiot. So that's great. Yeah. So that you're going to trust a guy that knows this much about security, and I know this much. And listen, don't do that. But
right, I have MSPs as clients.
Yep.
And they come to me because they're like, hey, we don't want to be the MSP that gets hit. We don't want to offer crap to our client. Please step up the game. Please get us into enterprise products. Please train us on what cybersecurity actually is, which is an entire risk modeling that they say, oh, yeah, we'll throw in a backup. It goes to the cloud. You're good in 24 hours. Well, that might be 18 hours too late because you haven't quantified the risk.
Correct.
Not to mention asset management. People will use the Kaseyas as asset management, and it's not. So these are things that we really have to, I think, understand when we're picking that good provider.
That's why you should go to a consultant that knows security first, like Nick or myself or other people that actually understand this, and then choose to go with an MSP. Don't choose your MSP and then say, oh, well, I think I'm safe, but it's really cheap. I only pay $59 a month for this guy. And I'm like, yeah, guess what? You're going to be hosed because you should be paying about $169 to $200 because that's what you need. But okay,
in my arena,
that's one of the things we do.
That's right.
We help companies pick IT.
All right, Nick.
In my arena, I was liking this to the coaching industry.
The coaching industry. Well, nobody comes to us until they always have problems, and then they get hosed, and then we tell them, okay, well now you should have done it. Oh, we should have listened to you before, and it's like, yeah, I talked to you like 6 times before, and you didn't listen to me. So best of luck to you.
That's human behavior. That's how it is. Yeah.
All right, Nick, if I wanted to get in touch with you, how do I get in touch with you? I appreciate you being on this segment. I still have my Nathan Nugget that I'm going to get done in like 2.5 minutes. So tell us where they can get a hold of you, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So please, feel free to find me on LinkedIn, / Nick Espinoza, or YouTube, which is, I think, Nick Espinoza as well, or even Twitter at Nick AESP. And feel free to connect to me, ask me questions, etc. I'm always happy to hear from people.
You can also find him on the guest segment if you go to TechTime Radio /guest or the guest icon, and you can see Nick, and he has the most segments on YouTube. He keeps on adding to them, so he's our most treasured guest on there.
Yes.
He'll be first on top of the list.
Thanks for giving me justification for drinking.
All right, there we go. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come on back, we got Nathan Nugget in probably a minute and a half, so you're going to want to listen quickly. We'll see you after this.
It's not going to happen.
Hey, honey, did you hear what I heard?
What's that, babe?
I heard Mike over there at TechTime Radio. He's like battling he's in the like that the swimming with the sharks in that singles arena, if you will.
Oh, bless his heart. And I also heard, like you did, that maybe things aren't going so great. You know what he needs, babe?
I think he needs to spend a little time in the Love Shack.
Yeah, the Love Shack. The Love Shack that airs every Thursday at 1 p.m. PST on KKNW 1150.
Come on, Mike. Come on over and join us. We got you.
Your business deserves the same expertise as that of a Fortune 500 company. If you need a CIO level service, why hire a full-time staff member at $250,000 a year when you can get this on-demand service for fractions of the cost? As your CIO on demand, we'll give you the steps you need to take so as to minimize interruption to your business and profitability, and provide you and your business with training and education to prevent future attacks. To get an efficiency review for your business today, contact us at www.ee-services.com.
Hey, Mike, as a business owner, why do we form an LLC or a corporation?
Well, that's pretty simple. We want to protect ourselves personally from the liability of the company.
That's right, Mike. The very next thing we should be doing as business owners is protecting ourselves personally from the finances of the company.
Right. Yeah, that's why you want to get help, and you can get help from the Business Doctor, which was founded by Dr. Glenn Smith, PhD in Business Management, Accounting, and Finance. Schedule your free business evaluation and consultation at thebusinessdoctor.us.
Enroll in the Rapid Business Credit Builder program and get up to 100K business credit under the company's EIN and the DUNS number in less than 6 months. The DUNS number is really important for your rating on when you purchase other items from other businesses, never having to use personal credit ever again. That's thebusinessdoctor.us or call 866-383-1030. Again, that's 866-383-1030 or thebusinessdoctor.us.
Visit the Business Doctor today.
All right, welcome back to TechTime Radio.
Man, you're so busted.
We are out of time. So we were going to do Nathan's Nugget. We are not going to do that, but if you go to techtimeradio.com, you'll be able to see that as a blog post. I will put all the information out there. We appreciate you for being here. I got Mike O'Day, David Brown, and myself. We will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment in technology today. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service from Apple to Google and everything in between. And also signing up on our YouTube page, where you get to see us live in video. Yep, you can see us chat and have some fun. It's youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, Mumm's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.
Hey, Mike, as a business owner, why do we form an LLC or a corporation?
Well, that's pretty simple. We want to protect ourselves personally from the liability of the company.
That's right, Mike. The very next thing we should be doing as business owners is protecting ourselves personally from the finances of the company.
Right. Yeah, that's why you want to get help, and you can get help from the Business Doctor, which was founded by Dr. Glenn Smith, PhD in Business Management, Accounting, and Finance. Schedule your free business evaluation and consultation at thebusinessdoctor.us.
Enroll in the Rapid Business Credit Builder program and get up to 100K business credit under the company's EIN and the DUNS number in less than 6 months. The DUNS number is really important for your rating on when you purchase other items from other businesses, never having to use personal credit ever again. That's thebusinessdoctor.us or call 866-383-1030. Again, that's 866-383-1030 or thebusinessdoctor.us.
Visit the Business Doctor today.